So today's move starts right here, right? On the third six, right? Boom, right? And then pay attention once again. This is where value comes in handy, right? Right on the flip of that time, like you said, right? With the time shift, right? Where are we? Right at the value area high, raking down,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
Right at the time shift. So again, this is where the value and time is lining. So that alone for me is like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? And then at that point, right with that third six start, what do we get? We start to displace now. We gap down on the first 90, right? So we gap down through the previous gaps, and then you see we're going through all these high volume levels. We're just buttering through high volume levels.
Yeah, we're
You see what
just
I'm saying?
gapping
Which
through
is which is pretty bearish. That's very bearish sign because if we're gapping through a low volume level, right, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? There's really no volume to catch that, right? But if we're
yeah.
going through a previous high volume level, and we're just melting through it, which now you can see the POC, right, from the previous, and it's melting through. And this red line is the yearly POC. So pay attention to that yearly POC too. So this is your daily profile, but watch that red line, the bigger line from the bigger value. You see what I'm saying? That we've been
Yeah.
consistently trading inside of on a higher time frame, right? So this is the context, is what I'm saying. So first you have to understand the bigger context, and then now we're here looking at this thing, right? So now understanding that bigger context, and then now you're sitting here looking at this thing, right? So now you understand that we're failing the yearly right value area back down right after that, value area high, failing off the third six, boom, and then at this point, this is where the third 90 came, right? For a continuation. It gave you an open high. And then it gave you one more continuation short down, breaking the value area low. Again, time and value. Just like up
Yeah.
here, time and value, right? Again, right here, even in the middle continuation, you're getting time and value. Look at the
Yeah, you're
POC. You
sweeping
see
out
what I'm
the previous flow.
Exactly. And then look at the now this is the thing, bro. Look at the
This
duration
is
of the
where I
move.
caught this is
Look
where
at
I
the
caught the long position, right?
That's what I'm saying right after that, right? But look at the duration of this whole down move, bro. You
For the
tell me how
entirety of the
long the duration is.
it's for the entirety of the 6.
Exactly.
8
Exactly. It's precisely 6 hours that it gave you that shift, gave you the top
AM.
tick, starting of the six, gave you the bottom tick, exit,
Yeah.
and a new long entry right off the new six, bro.
Exactly.
You can't make
That's
this shit up.
that's I'm showing my screen, but this is exactly with the time shift, right? That whole that whole 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
We had that whole 6 hours from 8 AM, which is where? Here,
And you guys
boom.
can see, he caught that. He just caught a paper handed it, but he really caught that bottom whip right there, right off that time shift. You feel me?
Here, time shift, we get the
Yup.
new 2 PM, and I was live on TikTok. We
Yup.
get the
So
new
this
focus
some real shit, guys.
the big failure to gap down, we
Mm-hmm.
create our inverse fair value gap once we go here, right? Whether you want to look at it as inverse fair value gap, you want to look at it as higher low, whatever. We put in a low, we swept, we failed to get down, we put in a higher low, IFPG, break a structure, blah, 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 right? Boom, swept all the low resistance liquidity. And throughout the rest of the 6, and we're, continuing through this, we're
Yeah.
continuing to pump,
And then
right?
look,
6 to 6.
Jimmy. Now pay attention once again, okay? Just like what I just said, right? Watch this, bro. You'll be like, what the fuck now? Okay. This is why I said just pay attention to the time now here, right? Once again, just like how this move was exactly 6 hours long, right?
Yeah.
Look at the long that you took, bro. Exactly 6 hours long. You see that? This is
Yeah.
this is why you have to understand time. And if you caught the open low of this 6 hour candle, you should understand to now target previous time-based high, which is obviously the third 90 high is your first target, right?
Yeah.
Clear first target is your previous third 90 high, not random gaps, right? Not random highs. But again, your first target, again, off of time shift, will be a time-based high or a low or a gap that came from time shift. You see what I'm trying to say? So that's something, one thing you have to know
Yeah,
and
you're
understand,
not
okay?
targeting random highs. It's if you're
E
taking the trade off of the time shift, well, then you can base your
exactly.
liquidity, and the probability of it taking that high is so likely, especially
Exactly. And then you can boost
especially
it
with
by being so precise, even knowing, oh, I'm not just targeting this high or, just random gap. I'm gonna precisely target the high of that third 90-minute candle. And you see
and
that
look at how
reaction right off of that third
first
90-minute candle.
pullback, right? Exactly, and you got this big soaky soak back down,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So that was a good TP1 for sure, right? For that moment. Definitely. For, this is on the 23 minutes. So for the next, half an hour or 40 minutes, it went down right
Yeah.
after hitting your TP1. So that was definitely good TP1. So this is where you would TP1. And then now if you pay attention, by then we're back inside of the value, giving you more confidence to hold it to your POC and your now next target of time, which is what? Your 6 hour high, precisely here with the value area high together. So that's even more confluence, right? Your time-based liquidity is right with the value area high, bro. So that's even double confluence. Now, understanding this, you have successfully fully traded a whole profile outside of value to back inside of value. You see what I'm saying? With the time together, not just randomly trading down and up, but it has a whole logic behind the value and time. You can see what I'm saying, right? It's all
Yeah.
going starting from the value, finishing to the value, coming back inside of the value to delivering to the values.
And
Exactly.
it's so clear whether you trade market structure, whether you trade ICT,
Exactly.
SMC,
Doesn't matter.
or resistance, it doesn't matter.
If you
If
if you
you
apply
pair
this,
if
you
you
know,
pair time with your whatever fucking strategy you already use, you're good.
you,
I don't give a fuck what strategy
like tell
anybody
me
trades.
tell them, okay, just to give them a little context idea, for the past 2 months, you've been understanding and learning this time thing with me, and kind of give them a your view on what that has done for you, or like in terms of like
I
just
mean,
improvement and what you're seeing differently just overall, whether
well,
it's
it's
good or
like
bad or whatever it is, doesn't matter
here's
what
the
it
thing,
is.
right? Is like okay, right, and I'll even go to my loss that I took today because I took 2 trades. I took a loss on Bitcoin, and then I took a dub on Ethereum, right? But even the loss was time-based, and what, trading with time has allowed me to do is, 1, be way more patient, and 2, and when I mean patient, I mean not sitting on the charts all day looking for trades all the time, right? But what it allows me to do is wait for these certain periods of time throughout the day, give
Correct.
myself a 10, 15-minute window, say, okay, boom, I'm either going to catch a solid, clear A plus textbook entry within this 10, 15-minute period, right? Within these 90-minute opens, again, because that's where we're trading is off of 90-minute opens and closes. Why? Because it's the fractal of the six,
Yep.
right? But it allows me to also know, am I right or am I wrong? Because you'll know very quickly, is this going to be a continuation 90, which
Exactly, bro. See it.
going
See
to
it.
be a reversal, which I was trying to catch, right? So let's break
Yep.
down the loss, right?
Yep.
What we had with this 90 at 12:30, obviously, we were selling off pre-market into market open. We continued to sell off from that 9:30 open. The 11 gave the continuation, right?
Yep.
So I was trying to catch the 12:30 reversal prior to that next six, right?
Yep.
So what I saw was we had the liquidity sweep, right?
Hmm.
The clear push below. We had the 12:30 open right here. We get the big open low, right?
Hmm.
But there's no trades until you get either the big open high, right? And the
Yeah.
failure, the continuation
Exactly.
short,
Yeah.
or the big open low. And again, from there, whether you go about looking to
That
catch
is such a
reversals.
good try though, for real. That is like a justified, like even in my eyes, if I was there, I
Yeah,
would have low key took it that, bro, and then just taken the
yeah.
break even.
And why I cut
Honestly.
it where I did, right? Because
Yeah.
instead of taking full loss, I was obviously targeting 1 to 3, 1 to 2.5 at this internal high, right?
Yep.
I ended up cutting the position on this candle, as you can see, and
Because
the
you
reason for
already
that.
knew that was
Oh,
not, if it wasn't reversing, it's going the other way. So you wanted to cut your loss
exactly.
fast as
Here's the
possible.
time. If we weren't going to gap up from this current level, right? We have the time-based
Exactly,
level, we have the
bro.
time-based liquidity. If it's not going to gap up from there, take your loss, know you're wrong, and look, I was wrong.
Exactly.
I saved myself from a world of pain, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But then
Yep.
obviously we come back to Ethereum. and Ethereum was super, super clean. What we have? Inventory was bearish for this
Yep.
entire 6 from
Exactly.
market open
So that's
until that.
65% chance that we just even understanding the inventory, right? Behavior of the
Yeah,
inventory, right? That has
inventory went
65 chance,
we're down
65%
to
chance to reverse,
candle.
right?
And then all I waited for was that new 6 hour, right? Because where's the 6 hour open? 2
Yep.
p.m.
Boom.
Boom. What did we do? Literally
O-
same exact
Open
model,
low.
same exact entry trigger that I waited
Yep.
for in the last time. What
Yep.
do we see, right? And I'll move this so you can see the fair value gap. We
Yep.
see fair value gap, right? I'll move this back so you can see 2 p.m.
Yep.
2 p.m. does the open low,
Yep.
right? You can see that we're swinging here, right? We are
Yep.
failing to break below. We have a
Plus a
ton of trend
previous
line
lick retest.
liquidity above.
Yeah. Plus a
Also,
previous
previous
lick
lick
retest.
retest,
Yep.
liquidity
Perfectly.
gets swept. We retest it. We fail to get
Bro,
below
look at
it
the
with
time and price lining perfectly right
bro,
there, bro. Look
it's
at that.
so
Oh
perfect.
my
It's
God.
so perfect every time, and this is
Bro,
what
that's so
like,
clean.
bro, it's actually so easy.
And
And
then
then
you just need to really start to
boom,
implement that bigger
motherfucker,
view,
we
you know?
inverse it on this candle. We inverse it. We break structure. I enter with the inverse. Fuck a pullback because that's my entry model. And then obviously taking profit as we were pushing up into this gap. And if I knew better, and obviously this is where I'm still learning, but if I
Yep.
knew better,
You would
right,
have
I
just
would have
targeted the
known.
third 90 high.
I would have just targeted
Minimum.
that 30 high, knowing minimum
Exactly. That's the
11, what,
time-based
11,
liquidity. That's the nearest time-based liquidity available, bro. You see what I'm saying? Those smaller highs and gaps are just literally,
all
like you
this is
said, internal liquidity. That's a
all low.
time-based liquidity. So that's different. You know what I'm saying? Those are just stagnant liquidity versus a shift of that key point of time to liquidity. That's the difference between a regular liquidity pool mapping and my time shifted liquidity pool mapping. You can get so precise even with the entry and have a clear target, right? Clear target. Now pull your
Clear
target down
target.
right
Motherfucker,
to the
look
right.
at that.
Pull it right to it.
Even with that rand news, even with war news, even Trump doing this, that, the third.
Exactly.
Look at
And
how
we didn't care about that. We were just doing the same thing, watching the
I'm just
time,
trading price
watching the
and
order
time.
flow.
Look, fuck all
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm saying.
news.
Watching the time shift, we see that we're not gapping down, we're absorbing all those downside moves, making that higher low, right? And then we create those new bullish imbalances, creating, absorption to the other side, right? So now that's a clear sign that we're gonna have to take the reversal plus the oversold inventory. That gives us 65% chance of, probability going the other direction, right? So
And And again, whether you enter with how I enter, which is, a smart money point of view, or you enter how Jay enters, which is more a, auction theory point of view, right? Or whether you enter off of supply and demand,
even
how
a
the
trend
massive
line break here, bro. Look, you even draw a
bro,
trend line break. You could have taken that right
trend
there,
line break.
and you could have
Break
still done it. It's the same thing, guys.
retest and you still get the retest, regardless of what entry trigger or model or ICT,
Exactly.
SMC, this, that, the third. It doesn't fucking matter. If you can pair your liquidity with your time shift, understand where are we drawing to and where have we drawn from, it just is so simple. It's so fucking simple. There's no reason to pattern trade all day long because it's
Yep.
like, here's the thing. You trade outside of these 90-minute windows and you are the liquidity for the market. You are the
Exactly.
liquidity needed for the smart money, for me, for Jay to step in at these 90-minute windows to take your money, right? So either you can trade with us with the smart money, or you can continue to generate liquidity for the market for us to grab, right? Because at the end of the day, we're going to accumulate, we're going to manipulate, and then we're going to deliver. So what part do you want to be? Do you want to get caught in between, or do you want to wait for the smart money to step in and catch the move?
Exactly, bro. And you can see this is where I preach on the point of understanding time because most people, like you said, know AMD, right? But they
Yeah.
pattern trade it. They
Bro,
pattern trade it. They don't
everybody
pair it with
knows
time.
that this is how the market moves. Accumulate, manipulate, deliver. Everybody knows that, right? But
Exactly.
what they don't understand is AMDX.
Exactly. And
It's not
open,
just
low, high, close, right?
right. It's not just AMD. That's not
It's
how the market
open, low, high, close. Hence why
exactly.
we even use that full fractal
Open,
that we use
low,
as 6
high,
hours.
close.
right? So it's a good thing that you started right there too. So for those that doesn't understand, right? It's basic math, guys. Like, and the simple logic of what I teach as time, guys, is time. It's candle sequencing. Okay, meaning that open, high, low, close, which most people don't even know that it's up there. Frankly,
Right. Open, high, low, close. It shows you
exactly. So
exact price points. Exact price
exactly.
points.
So these aren't just made up information that I'm giving you guys. This is called MGI. Okay, these are market generated informations that it's always gonna be there, whether you know it or whether you understand it, whether you don't understand it, whether you don't want to use it or not. It's gonna be there, right? Which is a functionality of each candle. Okay, and then again with each candle, draw it next to that. Draw next to that equal sign to that candle.
Draw what?
Draw like an equal next to that candle. Yeah, equal. That equals what? There's gonna be a timer behind each candle, right? Whether you're looking at the daily, whether you're looking at the weekly, whether you're looking at the monthly, right? That open, low, high, close is gonna hold a timer, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. And
This
that
could be
timer, you're going to have to fractalize it with the open, low, high, close. Hence
yes.
why you get a 4 fractal. So this is not a random gimmick or anything like that. There's a whole study and
Oh,
reason behind why I teach people how to understand time. And once you can actually line yourself with that right there, what Jimmy's showing, then you're able to get in with that low of that candle with the time, not just pattern trading
'cause
going down,
here's how
but
kinda how I see it. It's like, if you're looking at this candle, right, like you said, let's say this is a 6-hour candle, right?
mhm,
So we have this is a 6-hour candle, and within the 6, we're gonna do 4 things. Whether you like it or not, we're gonna do either open, low, high, close, or open, high, low, close. Doesn't matter, right? And whether that's bullish or bearish, it has to be one of the 2.
yep,
Now, understand that that 6, right, that time that we're looking at, if it's gonna do 4 things, well, then you break it up into 4, right? So it's not just gonna AMD, it's gonna AMDX, meaning that if we get the open here, the open could accumulate. And then
yep,
the low could be the manipulation,
yep,
right? And then the high could be the expansion, right?
yep.
And then we have the pullback, the retest, the whatever, and that's where we get the close, right? But you're gonna see this sequence all
Within
within
time.
time, right? It's not
Exactly.
gonna randomly
Not just price action going sideways, down, and up. If you guys do that, that's where you might see you thought that was manipulation, but you see another manipulation, right? And you're like scratching your head. I thought that was a
happen.
manipulation. But
Dude,
again, but
the
if you
amount of
tie
times
that
I see people get caught trading this, like, dude, I shorted it 4 times, but I just, I couldn't catch the move. Well, you're taking random ass fair value gaps.
yep,
It's like,
that's not
bro,
at the time.
that's not how
Middle of
this
the
works.
time. Yep, at the middle
The
of the
chart
time.
doesn't just move because we put in a gap and you think we're going to go down. Sorry. Like, it just doesn't. Sure, you can get lucky and catch random trades like this, right? Sweep, inverse, take short, boom, you caught your little push down, right? But you're not catching the bottom of a 6, right? And holding through. And
Exactly,
obviously,
bro.
I'm not holding
But
through.
with our logic, you can catch that bottom of the 6 and hold it. Like Jimmy, you seen my 5-day short from 74.4. Like, let's
This
go
one
review that trade. Review that
yeah,
trade right quick,
you pull it up,
right?
pull it up.
Okay, so right quick, I'm gonna pull that up right quick for you guys, okay? So we can review that big trade that I've given you. And I shared this on YouTube too, before it even happened. Right? I made a whole review 2 weeks ago on Sunday, right here, right? On this candle, I made a whole review telling you guys, right? For week 3, I'm expecting open high on now pay attention to the day, guys. Monday, Tuesday. What is that? Now that's just the higher time frame fractal that I teach, not the 6-hour fractal, but the weekly fractal, right? So what's the weekly fractal? That's your Monday through Thursday. That's your weekly fractal. And then your Friday through Sunday is what? That's your weekend fractal for crypto. Okay. And most people don't know this. And that 7-day makes up one weekly candle, correct? And then understanding that now, again, we're at the yearly value area high and we're starting the week opening high. Quite literally. Week
Yeah.
is starting
Which is
high.
not good.
That's
Not
not good. You look, you guys see an opposite example down here, right? Look at where the Monday, Tuesday is open low, right? And we're starting at the low to set up
right.
for a weekly close high. right? That's
And
your
again, whether you're
open
looking
low.
at it like a support resistance, supply demand, or you're looking at value area, right? Regardless,
Exactly.
right? If you compare the time with whatever fucking theory you trade, you're
Exactly.
good.
Right? But the point is exactly the point of this video is not the value. There's more to focus on the time. But right, just time itself. So ignore the value even for this video. It's not necessary to understand. So on this teaching. So just ignore the value and just look at the time itself. Monday, Tuesday. So again, what is that? That's your Monday range, right? Monday range high, Monday range low. What happens comes to Tuesday?
Tuesday
We
does the open high, the
open
accumulator,
high,
and the
and then
manipulation.
it literally does open high, and then that's the weekly fractal Monday, Tuesday, which is your open high. And as it's doing an open high, it's doing a open high on that daily candle as well. So it's double open high, right? It's
And if
weekly
you
open
look,
high plus daily open high.
and if you look at the weekly candle, right? I'll go back to Jay's screen in a second, right? But he has the daily time frame pulled up. And if you look at the weekly, right? Looking back at the week, the example that he's currently looking at, that previous, right?
Exactly, bro.
Look at that. The open high of the week, right? And
Yep.
obviously, this is how the weekly
And
candle
then
closed. But what did we do?
Jimmy, look,
We swept that previous week. We swept that Monday. Boom. That
and
weekly candle
And
sold
then
the
Jimmy,
fuck.
look, bro, this is what's gonna kind of trip up your mind too again. But look, bro, that weekly can I was just gonna show you guys that too, but that's funny. But look at this weekly candle, bro. Look, this is where it's like, damn, everything really is fractal. This is when you realize shit's really fractal because now, just like how we trade the third six, right? Pay attention what this week was, bro. That's week one, monthly open, week two, week three. So you just seen a fractal monthly open high on top of a fractal weekly open high. Do you see how fractal that shit is? That was a whole week. Look, just like a Monday range open high, right? Monday, Tuesday. Look, bro, we have a week one range, right? That's the week one range high. You see this? This is precisely. We didn't just randomly fill this gap. Okay, most people probably think we just fill this gap, right? But what I'm seeing is not the gap, right? I'm not really paying attention into this gap more. So I'm focused on this range of the month, bro. This is our monthly range. People don't know that. But why is that our monthly range? Exactly again, that's the monthly open, right? So just like a weekly open, just like a daily open, that's your week one, which is very important. That sets up the tone for the month. Okay. And again, by me understanding that, I can tell you guys if week three sweeps this high, then I can already have a bearish idea of trading lower, right? Logically, think about it. That's not good
It's
on the
clear.
monthly. That's bearish
It's
on the
clear.
monthly.
Oh, yeah, of course. Going into quarter two, that's terrible, but
E-
it's clear, right? At least we know
exactly.
that crypto's fucked. At least we know that we're about to sell off crazy.
Exactly. And then, right, as we done that, right, week three, and then what do? As we do the week three, again, fractal again. Weekly open high. Just like monthly open high. We're doing weekly open high right into it. Right. So this is why I've taken that short going into that Wednesday candle open high right off of that higher low. 74.4 was my entry, and I already shared it with everybody so people know. And from that point, I told people that we're going to target the POC, which was right here, to the value area low, which we have successfully gotten already, right? And then now we're going to repeat the same process all over again, right? But we have to do this understanding that what? Now we're in week four, right? That was the week one, that was the week two, that's week three, and now we're in week four, right? And we're still pinned inside of this Monday range. So it's different from other week, okay? This is harder now. Why? Because now, if you guys pay attention, we're trading in the middle of the range, okay? You guys see where we are? We're literally in the 0.5, right?
Yeah.
Of this whole
I mean,
range. So
literally
so
just
meaning this is a premium entry, right? And this is a
yeah,
discounted entry, but this is a middle of nowhere entry. So
yeah,
anything in here, exactly, anything in here is low probability already
yeah,
to me.
especially if you're looking to swing, right? The
It's
only way
50-50,
to
exactly. It's quite
higher
literally 50.
probability is if we were doing the open low, right, like Tuesday, right? If we sold off and either swept
Exactly.
Monday low or the
Exactly.
inverse, which is what we're seeing, which is looking like we're gonna push up to the Monday high, get into that premium, right? And then we can catch our shorts.
Exactly. So if we get this today,
Yep,
then that will be the mega short back down, right?
exactly,
But
exactly.
if we
And mind you,
somehow
this is
if
the
we
same.
somehow don't do that and then comes down and maybe like sweep here and then make a higher low or something like that, that would also push it higher again.
Yeah,
But it looks like we're about to sweep the high though, honestly.
I
You know,
agree.
if
And
we
mind
do,
you, this is the same play. Jay and I both have our own Discords, and this is the same play that we call out every fucking week. That not only we take, but our members take. So
yeah.
go look at
Hey,
it.
one thousand
Go,
percent, one
go look
thousand
at it.
percent, 1000%. But yeah, bro, like this is the plan for the week though, and you guys will see how what we're talking about after seeing this video and seeing how it plays out, right? But either way, the whole point right here is that we're still pinned inside of this Monday range, and we have not done jack shit, and we're in the middle of the range. So this is high probability. This is high probability. These are low probability trades. Anything that happens in here, right? Because again, these are all FOMO trades, right? We're not at a clear, level to trade at this point.
No, which is
It,
why we're sitting on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and we're taking our scalps, our intraday trades, and taking profit and getting the fuck out.
yep. Until we get a clear trade from, failing this gap plus this Monday range, or
Right.
vice versa. Then we will have a
Exactly.
nice trade, right? Nice trade to trade down or nice trade to trade back up to the three
Which
drop. So
which
if
and
we,
the probability again of us trading back up is so low,
too
especially with the
low.
war news
Like,
going into
look at how
Friday.
this looks, bro.
We
Look how
also
this
have troops.
looks.
We have troops being currently deployed in the Middle East. At the same time, we're also currently saying that we're in speaks of or in talks of peace and pausing the war for a month or some change. Blah blah blah. All Trump bullshit. But I think the real play will be
Is
shorts,
in
and it'll
quarter two.
happen after. It'll happen after market open Friday, and then into quarter two, we see the big sell off. Bitcoin dumps down to 50K, and that'll be that.
Look at this. So this is, again, your
I mean,
bigger
bro,
breakthrough
Bitcoin just looks like we're gonna fall off a cliff any day now. And one of
any
these
day,
days is
bro.
gonna be a massive Bitcoin
Time
sell.
shift is coming, bro. Like I'm
Yep.
telling you guys the same thing now on the bigger time frame, guys, right? We just went over monthly, daily, weekly, all that. But now
Hold
if
on,
you
I'm
guys
finna
pay
end this
attention,
video. I'm finna end this video, and then I'm gonna start another one. But hey, that was a quick little 30-minute session with Jay on how we use time fractals on the
yes,
lower
sir.
time frame, and because a lot of you guys have been
Yes,
asking me,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And you don't see this out there on YouTube anywhere
No,
other than
sir. No,
either
sir.
his
You don't
channel
see that.
or mine soon to come. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, pair
you
your
don't see
current
this.
entry model with
Yeah,
time, and
yep. But
that's
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah. Yep. We'll make another one soon, bro. We'll make another one
Yes,
soon.
sir.
Yeah, you guys tap in, tap in.